I think when it comes to photography competitions, you have to draw the distinction between awards for photography and awards for the uses and the premise of what photography can do. And by that I mean that there are photography competitions that pit one picture against another and will declare that you're a good photographer. I think that works wonderfully within the photo community. It perhaps defines, your level of expertise amongst your peers, and to a certain degree, depending on the PR and the kind of business of the competition, it may get you recognized outside of that. It will get you recognized as a photographer. Whether it gets your story that you've won recognized as being an interesting narrative or piece of journalism on this subject is a completely different matter. So the World Press, for example, I think is a wonderful competition in terms of just instilling the values and the ethics and the goals of this genre and this community of photography for press purposes. I'm not sure that any World Press story has suddenly jumped from winning a competition to being a very talked about subject because of the World Press competition. It is quite insular in that sense. It does get seen by a lot of people, but again, what's on show is pretty much this practice of photography. I think there are other competitions. The Inga Morath competition is an interesting one. It does come as well with a desire, I suppose, by the organizers to, to promote the values of Inga Morath and to kind of bring about a kind of foundation that can continue those values in new photographers. And in that sense, that does instill some kind of journalistic values for future generations. But it also instills a certain branding from the organization. And all these competitions are pretty much businesses about branding. Even the ones that are foundations, survive on selling tickets to the event, selling, entries to the competition, and also kind of the exposure that one gets from releasing pictures, which are great PR for the announcement of the competition. I think there are some very interesting other competitions, perhaps ones such as the Amnesty Awards, perhaps ones such as the One World Media competitions, and I think there are probably many others that actually come under a journalistic or even like this Orwellian prize for blogging, which actually looks at people that blog. It's not saying you're the best blogger in the world. It's actually what you blog about. It's blogging about social services and social issues, because that was the kind of basis of George Orwell's writing. And I think that those things actually convey photojournalism in a far better way, because they propel you to actually achieve what you wanted to do with your story, which was get people to read it and understand it and engage in the subject. And in that sense, yes, I think there is a real division or a choice one makes about how one promotes oneself. I'm not saying one is better or worse, but you can promote yourself as the artist, as the practitioner on one level, or you could put yourself in the background and promote the story that you want to tell and let that be awarded for the journalism of the story rather than the creator of the story. I mean, I should probably say in terms of competitions as well that, they are money-making ventures, and we run our own competition here. The very, very basis for trying to come up with a competition here was on two levels. One, obviously, we wanted something that people participated in. We wanted it to be accessible. We wanted to charge people for it so that we could actually turn it around and make something of it with them, with what we generate from it. But we also, to a certain degree, wanted an anti-competition. So our summer show was really just trying to use the resources that we have in the building, which is the space and the hospitality, and to provide a way to hang as many pictures as one can in the gallery. The only editing or judging per se in that sense is really just wheedling it down to 150, 160 prints based on size. If we had a bigger size, we'd include everything that was entered. And the idea as well behind that is let people come and see and then try and judge for themselves their favorite picture. And in the process decide what is it that's different in people that determines what they like or what other people like and what makes a good picture. And in the same way, almost kind of then throw the mirror back against winning photo competitions as to how can one picture be better than another. So, it's a discussion. It's an interesting process, but it's not a competition in itself.